Welcome back to the Atmos Live Studio. Today, we have Miss Nita Ann in the studio with us.
Hello, hello, hello. Happy to be here.
We're going to tell you just a little bit about her before we get going. So she is a trailblazing iPhone photographer whose innovative approach is literally reshaping the way a lot of people look at the art landscape. She is a master behind the lens. She has stuff on BET. She's got stuff on CMT. She's worked with over 400 people. She's actually had a billboard in downtown Nashville up about her. But, I'll let you guys find out all about it later on. So thank you so much for coming down here to the studio. I know it's a little bit outside of your area, about 45 minutes away. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Like, the drive wasn't even a big deal at all. I love long road trips and thinking at the same time and just enjoying the non-city city. So,
Well, living in a high rise, you think you would never get tired of looking at what you look at outside of your window, huh?
Yeah, I never get tired of it. I actually try to appreciate it every single day, just appreciating where I'm at in life. But sometimes in order to miss anything, you got to get away from it.
Man, you said a mouthful.
That truth still applies.
All right. So speaking of high rises and long drives, you're not from Nashville initially, correct?
No, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, born and raised, and then came here for college, was going to college for 6 years and decided to move to Nashville for a while, and then worked my way up to the top, living in a high rise for going on 6 months.
There we go.
Yeah.
So what did you go to school for?
I actually went to school for music business, got my minor in marketing.
Very nice.
Yeah. And ironically became an iPhone photographer right after that,
Now, is there anything you learned at MTSU that you still utilize today when it comes to like your social media marketing management?
Yes. If it wasn't for college, I wouldn't have the grand understanding of marketing myself because it's so crucial nowadays for everybody.
You have to.
Just as important as learning business and sales and communicating. And that is what propped me up in my business, because at the end of the day, the only way to survive your business is evolving, and I tell people all the time, evolving. Imagine like if Taylor Swift was still a country singer. But because she put herself in different markets, it created the era of different vibes and genres that she was singing. And so that's a perfect example right there. Or even books that turns into movies. That's all marketing.
Well, I think first and foremost, you're right. A big portion of that is marketing. And two, a lot of that is placing yourself at the right place at the right time, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, you're never going to grow.
That is so true. That is so true.
So when did you know that Nashville was the spot for you? Did you know that early on in life, or was that like a later on realization?
The moment when I was going to college and, building up my independence, I was invited to the music scene in Nashville, because it does have a reputation of country music. But I had some friends that was in the rock scene, and I went to so many different venues and supporting so many different friends that multiplied the moment I went to one show, then the next show, then the next show here in Nashville. And I felt good about it because this is the first time I've been going solo and meeting some really cool, talented friends. I love being in that environment. Being in that environment also helped me realize, what can I do to support people, trying to grow themselves in this entertainment industry. And, and that's where it came to play as far as like, how can I make myself useful, and
right.
iPhone photography came about, but, so that's when I realized Nashville was home, when I started to grow myself and my career.
And so that was after you started at MTSU?
It was after I graduated. COVID hit and I had to redirect myself.
Yeah.
Because originally I went to school to want to work in the music industry, like any agency that would have me or any label that would have me. But when COVID hit, the music business just went on a downfall because they weren't looking to hire. They were laying
everybody off. Yeah.
So there was just no way I could, get a job that I was looking for in that industry. And so the hobbies that I was doing on the side while I was in college was taking photos on my phone. And so I did do a marketing job for a month, and it wasn't for me because I didn't like selling things to people door to door and them not liking the product. How can I blame them? I want to sell something that I actually like believe in, that actually helps people. And that's what pushed me to, what? I'm going to make my hobby into a side hustle. And then sure enough, that actually started going very well for the first year, 2 years. And then it turned into a career. So, yeah.
How did you get your first client? Was it someone you knew, or was it someone random?
My first client technically was during college, because I was doing it as a hobby first.
Right.
And then, but technically she did pay, because I did this thing in college where it was 10 minutes shoot for $10.
There we go.
So technically it was my first client, which was in college. But when I made my business into a legit business, that was about 4 years ago. And
right in the height of like the hardest time economically. That's amazing.
I know. Yeah. I'm a driven person. Like, I didn't want to go home to mom and dad. Like, I was like, look, I'm determined to make something work. I just got to keep putting myself out there, do a bunch of DoorDash, Uber Eats if I have to on the side to make that income work. So, but sure enough, it worked out.
So does most of your family still live in Ohio?
Yes. So
gotcha.
All my family except for my sister, they live in Ohio, and my sister, she lives in Western Kentucky. So
the two sisters out there trailblazing.
I know.
I love it.
Yes, I'm trying to motivate her into having her own freelance thing, and it goes back to what you said. It does matter the place and the timing too for whatever you're doing. But at the end of the day, seeing what I can do, shooting photos from my phone and making a profit out of it, I hope that inspires everybody else.
It's all about posturing. You got to find what you're good at. You have to put yourself in the right space to win.
Yes, and be consistent. Yeah.
But yeah, that's a whole nother discussion. Consistency, absolutely key. So one other question about your earlier days, when you were in school, even like high school, did you take any kind of photography classes at all?
I'm so glad that you asked, because I did not.
Wow.
I did not. I had no skill in photography whatsoever. I never holded a camera. So I did everything on my phone. Once I realized the capabilities of what the iPhone could do, I instantly went from Android to iPhone. Right off the bat, because I was rocking the Android for the longest. I was like, why would I need to switch to an iPhone if the Android is fulfilling my needs?
Did you actually shoot on the Android before that?
No, not professionally. I mean, I took photos like every average Joe person would, but no, so basically it was in my marketing class when I realized the special uniqueness that the iPhone had that the Android did not have at the time. And I was sitting next to this girl in my marketing class, and we were following each other on Instagram. And, she has like this blonde Valley girl approach look on her. And I saw her Instagram. I said, yo, how does your photo, it's like a professional photographer is following you everywhere you go. Like, how I need to know these answers so I can have high quality content like you. And she was just like, oh no, my friend just shot it off her iPhone 8 Plus.
You're like, what?
Yes. I was like
me?
shocked. I was like, that's just from an iPhone? Okay. Right. I'm switching.
That's how I feel every time you post something. I'm like, there's no way. I've got good cameras in the studio and they don't look like that.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I went ahead and just switched to the phone, and then I just started practicing taking photos of friends and, family members, and just kept doing what I was doing. I didn't give up. And then sure enough, I started getting really good at editing, and that's where the magic really happens. And I just kept trying out mimicking different types of genres of edits, and, from a lighter approach to a darker approach, from moody to more, sunset vibes. Like, I tried it all, and then it made me again to who I am, to where I can like take really cool photos from just the iPhone.
Well, I think, and you mentioned it earlier in this, I think it was off camera, but from the outside looking in, when you hear the word photography, you just think like point and click, right?
Yeah.
Well, for the most part, until iPhone kind of got good at what it was doing, it was never like that because there's so many different forms of photography, from indoor to outdoor to this to that to weddings to boudoir to, and now like you're able to do very well in whatever circumstance you're in.
Yeah.
What are your favorite to shoot in? Like if your perfect conditions, what would they be?
Yeah. So from everything that I shoot, literally it's product photography, vintage photography, film approach, cinematic approach, a neon photography, car photography. Like the amount is so endless. Landscape, buildings. I get hired to shoot at Lazy Boy Furniture, by the way. Strip
Wow.
clubs hire me to take their photos for their venue and the girls. So it's like, the possibilities are endless. I just want to point that out first.
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless. And honestly, my favorite ones are the ones that shock people. That's from an iPhone.
Now, you guys will have to go back and look on her page for her New Orleans shoot. I was amazed at some of the I mean, it felt like I was watching an older movie about New Orleans, and you literally captured the essence of who the people are, the place, just the culture down there. And as someone that loves New Orleans a lot, like I really appreciated it.
Thank you. That means so much to me.
It's really cool how you look from the outside perspective also at each type of photography, and you have immersed yourself in how do I make it look like this? How do I make it look like that? It's more so than just learning the name. Like now you understand what makes it like that.
Yeah.
That makes you dangerous. I mean, yeah, because you can do anything, right? If you're that versatile, you're going to get hired over and over again. That's wild.
And that's exactly what ended up happening. But, I am so glad that I created my own marketing technique.
Yeah.
Because that's what got me from point A to B.
Well, nobody's done what you've done before.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're literally writing it as you go. So you have to be outside the box because nothing traditional is going to work for you.
That's literally my lifestyle. Like I've always been outside of the box when I was a kid and, in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And, I never really wanted to be, I guess, a stereotype.
Right.
I wanted to shock people of uniqueness, but at the same time, stay true to myself,
That's fair.
Because I don't want people to think that there's only one way to go in life.
Oh, there's certainly not.
So many ways to go in life.
Yeah.
There's so many things you could be in life. Like, don't let certain things hinder you from being the greatness that you can bring out into the world. Because at the end of the day, my main goal going to college was to make a difference in the entertainment scene. Mm-hmm. And so in a way, I'm kind of doing that still. Like I thought it would be, in a label or something, I don't know, be a creative director. No.
You are your own creative director at your own agency.
Yes, shocking people in not just the entertainment world, but also like in all aspects of the world.
Think about if traditionally you had gone down that path, you would be deadlocked into this music scene.
Yes,
not
that's
any,
it.
just the Nashville scene. Now you're free to work anywhere doing whatever you want.
Yep. And can travel.
Yeah.
And, have Apple know me.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing too. Like to learn what you're good at in life, like, you have to get out of your comfort zone. Whatever, it's okay to know what you know. It's okay to be born wherever the hell you're born and to deal with whatever you deal with. That's okay. But if you really, really want to break the mold and find out who you could be, like you got to get out there and go get it. And you have done an excellent job.
Thank you. Here to inspire more people to do the same. Or to even inspire photographers. Hey, if you want, you can get that very expensive camera or get the new iPhone that comes out.
Maybe just start with the iPhone and see how you like it, Worst case scenario, you got a B-roll. It's wild.
At the end of the day, it's still your phone. So,
Right. You still use it. All right. So tell me about a couple of the most memorable experiences you had while working with musicians. Let's start there.
My most memorable experiences. I mean, I think my biggest one that I remember the most, obviously, is being hired to go to Las Vegas and do a photo shoot for the band Great White. I've never been, flown or got a hotel from someone that, hired me to take photos for their band,
Right.
That was the richest experience I've ever experienced in my life. And again, I'm shooting from a phone.
Right.
It's just so crazy to say.
Right.
And then even now, like another rich experience is doing photo shoots at my apartment complex.
Mm-hmm.
And people who worked with me since day one, they see me now and they're like, Nita, we've been working with you since you started. And now look at you. Like, look at where you live. Like,
just to pay, take it as a compliment. Think about the production that went into going to Vegas, getting everybody out there, all the equipment, all the people, all the flights, all the stuff.
Yeah.
I would take it as the biggest compliment that instead of hiring a run-of-the-mill media team with Sony Alpha Red, with, all the bells and whistles, they chose you with a phone. With a phone, you are more dangerous than a full media team. Like, I don't think a lot of people understand how big a deal that is.
Yes. And they like their photos at the end of the day. And again, I'm shocking people who I've worked with since day one, and then they see where I live too. So like that is a big shock as well. And I'm trying to think of a third that, is pretty big. I think that one is just top notch right there though.
Yeah.
The one that we just talked about. Like you said, like it could have been a whole production team.
Yeah.
And then even recently, like when I worked with my client who I showed my place, I've been working with her for 2 to 3 years. And she said, Nita, I've been working with a photographer in Chicago because she lives in Chicago. She said, I've been working with a photographer in Chicago. And like, she's a big deal over there. She has like all these multiple businesses and all that stuff. And she said, I worked with her and I hated all my photos. And she said,
awkward.
Yeah. And she said, and now I work with you. You did my photo shoot in 5-10 minutes and showed me what you got. I'm in love with my photos. And she said it shocks her because there's no huge, lights, camera or anything like that. It's just me and my phone. And she said, I liked your photos right off the bat and hired a whole production team last time, and didn't like the results. So it's just, it proves that it's not the equipment.
Right. Yeah. It's your personal touch. Whatever you're doing, I don't know what it is. I need you to tweak my camera before you leave. Just toss some iPhone magic on it. Good grief. All right. So you have worked with over 400 people. Mm-hmm. In that mix of people, I'm sure that you've noticed a common thread among the ones who stand out at the top in their industries. What is that? Like, what makes people so successful, so wildly successful in what they do?
Oh, I'll tell you what it is. Definitely the number one is being open-minded. I feel like all my clients that are open-minded, I think one of my favorite success stories that working with some of my clients is the ones that are in real estate and they make like tons of money now in real estate and they're so
I didn't even think about shooting for them.
I see it puts me in positions where I do, like you said, work with people who are successful in their own area. But one is being open-minded and taking risk as well. The second one is self-discipline and consistency. Mm-hmm. The third thing that I feel like is that I've noticed from a lot of my successful friends is, again, always be around elevated people as well, honestly, because I'm telling you, that's what made me decide to move into a high rise. Some people were like, why don't you just move to Franklin and get a house? What? I'm sorry, but I do want to be around elevated people in a building, like who are doctors, lawyers, whatever, because it'll just push me to want to be better at the end of the day.
It's inspirational.
It is inspirational. I'm not saying that living in Franklin in a house isn't, but I'm in a house. It's just me, and it's not like I can go to a neighbor and just ask what they're doing. Right. Not that I'm saying I can do that there, but at the same time, like, you running in front of people in the elevators all the time, in the lounge all the time. You're always going to run into somebody, and
you're right in the middle of where you want to be anyway for work.
Exactly. It's convenient, and it makes me look good. Like, I'm not saying just anyone can get a house, but not everyone can get a high rise. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And keep it up and conduct meetings there and do this and that, Yeah. It definitely sets the tone.
It sets the tone. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And that's marketing.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about challenges. Mm-hmm. I know every career has their own unique set.
It sure does.
What are some that you have had to deal with?
Yeah. So just like any other business, like your friendly McDonald's or Nike shoe brand, you're always going to have the seasons where it declines. And so the question is, what are you going to do about it? And so that's one thing that I feel like I'm always tested at when those challenges do come. Because at the end of the day, it just pushes you. Because some people feel like they're being pushed to fail.
Right.
But that's not the case. You're being pushed to think more creatively on how can you keep yourself afloat during this time and period. Are you going to push more social media content? Are you going to create more ideas for discounts or something for your business? Are you going to push yourself out there more in the networking department to get more clients? That's what that's what those situations are for. I mean, you look at McDonald's, they're like, we're just going to sell free fries on Friday.
Throw the McRib at them again. They forgot about it. Just toss it back out there. Yeah.
Loved it when they had that purple shake. I was like, oh man, they had my money during that season. Oh man. So like, it's just, but that's the truth when it comes to challenges in businesses. You're always going to have the up moments where you're getting clients left and right, left and right, left and right. But then there's always going to be moments too, where you're going to have clients that kind of drop. And so it pushes you to think, what can I do to, increase my income during this season, So
how do you attract clients? Are you like referral only? Do you actually have advertisements you place? How does that work?
So nowadays, the combination of both word of mouth and social media is crucial.
Yeah.
And so luckily, while I'm also building my social media presence with my iPhone photography, I also have to build my presence on who I am on social media, because you'll have your long-term clients when they connect with you
Right.
who you are as a person.
Right.
And so you'll always have that loyal fan base in a way, because it, like what they say, it's better to have $1 million clients than have $1 million, because obviously 1 million clients,
you'll spend $1 million.
And yeah.
Okay. You got a client, a lifetime client.
If 20% of those clients if 20% of those clients out of the million can spend $1 million on you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big facts.
So yeah, and that's just how I see it, as far as like putting myself out there. And so I always make sure that not only that I'm putting me as a person out there, but also sharing what I go through on a daily basis as an iPhone photographer, because there's not a lot of people that are full-time iPhone photographers.
There are not.
or even showcase that they are iPhone photographers. Some people probably like scared to put themselves out there in that way.
Right.
And so, yeah. And so I push myself in that direction too, but also sharing what photos that I take, videos that I take, and what I do, so others can be inspired by, again, taking photos from their phone.
Now, with all that being said, have you, I'm sure you've already looked into maybe starting up the Nita School, you know what I mean? For just focusing on teaching people how to use iPhones.
I think that's definitely a next step in the direction in the future.
You hear us, Apple?
No, right?
She needs a school.
We talked about evolving, like,
right.
You got to evolve. And so right now I think I'm focusing more on putting myself out there as a brand / influencer, because that's not really a thing.
Right.
And so I think it's more important right now that I put myself out there again as a brand influencer of some sort. I mean, so that way I can keep influencing more people to show on their iPhone, and the results that can come from it if they decided to make it a side hustle, B, a hobby, or C, a career.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's where my main focus is right now, to put myself out there and keep influencing more people, whether it's a conference or a keynote or going to the cons or something like that. Like, I want to put myself out there in that way, again, to inspire more people of what they can do, or just the joys of the art of shooting from a phone.
I didn't think about setting up booths at cons, but that would be a really, really good way.
It'll put myself out there, but guess what? Yeah. At the same time, entrepreneur mindset. If I put myself out there as much as possible, no different from an influencer, that can create more opportunities for me.
Yeah.
I could be with Apple or a hotel or travel, instead of just focusing primarily on a business located here in Nashville.
Right.
But that doesn't put me out there like that. You know what I'm saying?
Then you're just deadlocked here.
Exactly. And so if I keep putting myself out there, yes, that would be cool to have a business soon. Cause then once my name is more out there, like Kim Kardashian type out there, the business can start booming
Right. Right.
in those specific locations.
I think it'd be cool to see you get picked up by like an airlines for a sponsorship or something.
Yeah.
Send you out there, take some pictures all over the world.
Yes, that'd be so cool.
It would cost them nothing. They're already flying to these places.
And there's new Airbnbs, new hotels, new everything always happening every day, every month, every year. So guess what? They all need content.
I'm excited to see where you go. I'll be living vicariously. Having a good time. That's cool, man.
Yes, I'm proud to be in this position, because what did I say? At the end of the day, I went to college my main focus was to make a difference in the industry. And that's what I cared about. I actually looked up to Steve Jobs, ironically.
Very intelligent man.
Yeah, he made such a huge impact in our lives. And I want to be like that, before I die. That'd be great.
I think you're well on your way.
You know what? I think you're right. And so I am taking it day by day, and I'm inspiring myself to just keep going because I'm here right now. And so I want to keep going and see where I end up.
Well, that's the thing too. A lot of people, I don't think, that are entrepreneurs understand. Some days you don't have any inspiration. Some days you have to create it.
You do, especially when you don't have anyone else to follow. So you have to create. And I always give people advice like, dude, if there's nothing out there that's doing what you have in mind, ideally, look at a couple people that inspire you by them doing their own thing and create that pathway for yourself and just keep going.
So on days when you're having trouble being creative, like what is your method of kind of recentering, refocusing? Are there any things that you like to do that kind of help you get back to grounded?
So glad that you asked that because I was recently going through that today.
Whoops.
No, it's a good thing because I think it's so good to talk about not just your accomplishments, but also like what you as a entrepreneur struggling with or trying to navigate at the moment. And when I get into these like funks or when I get into these moments where I need to be productive, but I just can't, I always have to tell myself, okay, well, am I in this position because I'm tired or am I in this position because I feel not motivated, and
it's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. And
you like compartmentalize.
Yes. Like what is the cause of this unproductiveness?
Right.
And so sometimes when it's tiredness, it's like, okay, I'm not resting enough. I need to relax. I need to do some me time. Maybe I need to meditate. Maybe I just need to listen to some music. Maybe I need to read some books because sometimes that can be relaxing for me. Or just taking a nap.
A good old nap never hurt anybody, really.
And so that or maybe I'm not productive because I haven't been going to the gym and what the foods that I'm eating is making me even more tired. Yeah. Cause I literally just finished up all my Thanksgiving food, made extra Thanksgiving food. And I'm not going to lie to you. I think that was the source of my unproductiveness.
Man, it's tough after eating ham and turkey for a full week. Like, I don't want to do anything.
Exactly. And so now I'm back into the kick of things where I'm eating back to my, healthy meals or just my lighter meals. And so far I went to the gym and I feel great. Went to the gym, eating better. And so, sometimes that's what it could be at the same time. And so it's like, it could go one or two ways. Like you either didn't get enough rest or you're not producing enough, energy in your body to be motivated. So. Yeah, or
something about you that I think is going to, and it obviously has helped you get to where you are, but it's going to continue to help you grow, is that you are able to separate the noise.
Yes.
So you're able to look inward and say, well, I'm not feeling like I normally do. So it could be A, B, C, or D. And a lot of people, they just kind of go with the flow until they get out of the funk or they stay in the funk forever.
Right.
But you got to be productive anyway. And so
it's
cool to see you be able to pull apart what the cause and effect.
I told you, problem solver.
Yeah.
I am a problem solver. There's a problem. I feel like I have to solve it. I got to analyze like, well, what is going on here?
That's beautiful. I wish more people thought like that. The world would function so much better.
Well, can't even blame them though, because like they probably just don't know.
Right.
And then again, that's what I'm saying. Like if, when you talk about the stuff, your struggles, some people could be struggling through the same issue. And so if you share what's helping you, you could be helping others. That's why I think it's so important to talk about that vulnerable moments. That
it makes you so much more relatable.
Yes.
Right.
You can help other people.
Well, that's what it's all about. So let's talk about some of the really interesting things that you have done as far as like mainstream media is concerned. So some of your work is on places like BET and CMT. How on earth did you get into that?
Yeah, so luckily with the BET, I had no idea that was going to come about. I was asked to do a video shoot for these 3 ladies called the Shandellas. They're locals here in Nashville, and working with Weirdo Production Workshop, and they're awesome label team management, and they needed someone to do a video shoot primarily on the iPhone because they just thought that'd be a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
At the time when, they say you could shoot music videos on your phone, that became like a cool trend like 2 or 3 years ago. And so, they asked, okay, who do we know that could do it but is good at it? And so they asked me, so Nita, can you do this music video for us? And I said, sure. Because I had no like prior experience to do like a bigger, production thing. But it was just so cool. So cool to be asked to come and shoot and even show them what it looks like so far. They approved. They all approved. They loved it. They liked it. And then it was my job to also edit it as well. And so I did all that and send them multiple drafts, and they approved it. They liked it. They loved it. That's all that mattered. Because, me, I can be picky, it could be better here and there, But no, they liked it. That's all that mattered at the end of the day. And so that was the first video that I did for them, and they loved it. And then that's that video that got on BET. And then they asked me to do more music videos for them. And I did like 4 or 5 already for them. So
very nice.
And so I think they have 1 or 2 on BET now. And then I also got asked by other country singers who are building up their name and more into that realm. They hired me because I'm also reasonably priced as well. I'm not too expensive like a production team. So they needed something, but it still needed to be good quality,
Right.
And so they came to me and asked me to do it. And so I've, again, repeated the same process, did what I did and showed them what they look like, and they loved the results. And that's all that mattered. And and then a couple of their videos got on CMT. And so
that's wild.
Yeah. Again, like the fact that my stuff was on that,
Right. That's huge.
100 music videos that I've done. I haven't had any of that. It was just...
You also didn't show up with $100,000 worth of cameras.
I know. Again, just the iPhone. Again, people even ask, like, was there a lot of lighting production involved? No.
Well, that's a question I had down the line. How do you figure your lighting out? Or do you just...
So certain music videos that I've shot were in studios and they had light provided.
Gotcha.
There are some music videos that I did that were outside. No extra lighting involved. It's just natural lighting. But yeah, so that's how they turned out so good. It's just, but some of the studio ones, there were lights involved in that. But again, at the end of the day, I still use my phone, 2 hands, no extra gimbal or anything. It worked out.
Wow. And when you edit, do you edit using Apple software or?
So with editing, I use CapCut.
Okay.
Surprisingly, it's a really good, cool tool that's upgrading over time.
Well, when the product's good going into it.
I know. Yeah. And so I actually recommend using that because it's a really good tool to use. I was using like, what's it called? Leap something? I was using that for a while. And instead I just use CapCut because it just got so much better and improved so much. And it comes in handy so well, especially in color coding. So yeah, I like that.
So I'm really into Premiere Pro for the color grading, color coding.
Premiere Pro does not exist on iPhone apps or iPad. I mean, it does, but they don't have like the version that you have, basically.
Right.
So
if I could just get away with using CapCut, which I probably could for most of my stuff, I would much prefer it. Like it's so much easier to navigate. Premiere Pro is a nightmare to learn.
I hear
it is not.
I was this close to buying a laptop just to have Premiere Pro because my laptop.
Great. But man, it's a pain to learn it.
Now that CapCut is improving, I'm like, well,
who cares? Like, I don't even need it now. What's the point? Yeah. Alrighty, let's see here. I lost my place.
You were good. You had a good question.
Oh yeah, on the BT, the CMT, like all that kind of stuff. Has that led to more people hitting you up in the videography realm?
I mean, to an extent. It's weird because like,
or do they even know?
I don't think they know. I have to tell people because some people just see music videos. They never think that it's shot on an iPhone.
That's fair.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe I'm just not doing my part by pushing it out there enough. But I mean, videography is not like my favorite thing to do because it is a lot of work. Like, don't get me wrong. Like,
so you
already
prefer the photography side.
It's just easier, quicker, and I move on with my life. Videography is a lot of work, but no, like at the same time, it's sometimes some people, we're still in the day and age where some people are weirded out by using the phone for videography purposes. And then some people are like, yeah, go ahead. Cause I mean, I still have more videography work that I have to do on my calendar already. So, right. But now that I'm trying to push myself in the conference direction.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Hey,
it's all part of the growing.
Just glad that I got that work on CMT and BET. Let's move on to the easier stuff where I can just talk and get paid. Inspire people in that way.
Now, do you think the stigma behind you using a phone has been like, quote unquote, maybe one of your bigger challenges when it comes to being a photographer? Because I'm sure like you show up and if they don't know you per se, or someone there hasn't, directly referred you and you whip out a phone, I'm sure some people are like, whoa.
Oh, yeah, I definitely.
What you doing with that over there?
Yeah, I definitely get those. I haven't gotten that many quite often recently, but yes, I do have to kind of explain a little bit, share some of them in my work so that they can see.
Well, it speaks for itself once they see the product.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for sure. And so, yeah, I definitely get those kind of people sometimes. And, and at the same time, like, I'm not too mad when they like, question mark everything because
right.
It's new, it's not something that's that common,
right?
So I actually don't mind having to explain sometimes. I think I get thrown off a little bit when people hire me, and it hasn't happened recently, but it has happened in the past where I get people that hire me and they love my work, but they don't know that I shoot it on my phone, and so when I'm there they're like, wait, I don't
like, where's your camera set?
Yeah, they get weirded out. I had one time where I had a client hire me, and he's from Miami, and he said, I saw your work and I was so happy to move here to Nashville and finally work with you. For some reason, he had no idea that I was shooting from my phone. And I make it very clear on my social media.
Yeah.
And he'd hate it that I shot from a phone. He said, I like the photos, but I just don't like the fact that you're shooting from a phone because then it makes me think, why can't I just do it myself? And I was like,
well, sir, then just do it yourself.
I mean, yeah, you could just do it yourself.
I'm not saying you can't.
I know. I was like, well, you hire me for a reason. Like, I'm good at what I do. That's all that matters. And he's just like, yeah, but I just don't want to pay you for shooting on your phone. And he just left.
Is that the most awkward customer you've had?
Oh, man. Like, I tried to educate him as much as I could about, but it only got so far. He like tuned out the second he started putting two and two together. I don't know, but that was probably like my worst like experience. But then I wasn't too mad because then the next day I got told that I was going to have my work shown on a billboard.
Well, yeah. You give and take. You lose the angry man, you get a billboard. That's a way better trade up. So tell me about the billboard. How did that come into play and what was it for?
So originally I found out that there's this Arts of the Week type thing for Arts Nashville Business Council thing. And they have an application where you can apply for it. And I apply, but then I think there was like some sort of payment that had to be involved in order to finish the process. I don't think I finished that process because I didn't pay.
Well,
but they found me anyways 8 months later and said, hey, we want to put your work on the billboard. And I said, oh, okay.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So they took 3 of my big photos, like that stood out the most, and they just rotated on the same billboard that Jelly Roll was on.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
And it's over there by my little brother's house, I think.
So I felt good at that moment. Like, yes, my work is being shown on a billboard.
That's huge.
Yeah. If it was on there for a week straight.
Do you think you got any immediate business from using that tactic?
I got a lot of attention. Gotcha. And then again, the billboard was on there, but it didn't necessarily say shot on iPhone. I know. I wish it did. It was just Arts of the Week in my name.
Yeah. So unless they went out of their way to look you up.
Yeah, they probably just would have thought, oh, cool photography, cool. But they would have never known it's shot on an iPhone.
It's a little different.
But it's okay. As long as I was on the billboard, I can't complain too much, right?
So it looks like you have also worked a good bit with the news channels here.
Oh my goodness. Yes. I was on the news channel 3 times.
There we go.
Yes, of 2023. I was super excited. And that was a great experience within itself, just being on the news and sharing what I do for a living. Cause everyone knows that you could take cool content with the phone.
Right.
But I don't think a lot of people are familiar that it could be a career within itself,
Right.
So I try to push that out there and let people be aware, hey, don't get all weirded out by taking cool content on your phone. You can make a career out of this thing.
Right. So did they contact you and have you come in for like a full scale interview, or did they showcase your work?
So the first 2 times that I was on the news, that was through contact. I emailed and let them know about my story. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I've done this before in the past and got nowhere with it. But for some reason, I guess I reached out to the right person and they grew interest and was like, yes, let's have this on our show. And so that was a great opportunity. Now, the last time I was on the news, just recently in October, I was on the local on 2 live, and that I met the host lady at a benefit concert while I was taking photos on my phone for the concert. And so it was
right place, right time.
Right place, right time. Yeah. And that was a really great experience too.
Well, I hope to see you on the news next time. I'll be looking for it. I don't think I haven't watched the news in like 5 years.
See, I know,
but
it's all good. There's a lot of people that don't watch the news, so it's like, it's okay. It's still cool to say,
I mean, no, it's amazing to see the things that you have been able to achieve with an iPhone.
Yeah.
That just shows that you're very, very talented.
Thank you. I'll even add this too. I was able to afford my first class flight to New York.
There we go.
And got to stay in a Times Square hotel right on Times Square Broadway. So I was able to afford those things all on my own with just shooting on the iPhone. So, yeah.
Is that the coolest place you've been so far? Like, what's your favorite place you've been able to go work?
I mean, I personally believe now that I've been traveling more, I feel like every city has its own gem.
Yeah.
So every city has its own magic. Like I could say LA was the place, but honestly, if it wasn't for going to New York, I would have never had the Apple opportunity.
Right.
And then Louisiana, like that was a magic. New Orleans, that was a magic of its own. And being able to capture like exactly what you said, it couldn't have happened in any other place. But in New Orleans, I was able to capture that magic, and I met some really dope photographers that were there too, and it was just so cool. So I don't know, me personally, I would have to say Las Vegas and New York, because I just love neon city lights at night. So those are my 2 personal favorites. But
I bet it's fun to shoot out there though.
Oh man, it's just so cool to just be there. I'm a big nerd for neon lights at night, so that's my weakness. New York, oh man. the LED screens.
Oh man.
They just get better and better with those things. So yeah, it's just stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like every city definitely had its purpose.
That's fair.
So yeah.
Well, it's all part of the journey,
It's all part of the journey.
All right. So what do you think? Well, actually, let's see here. How do you think iPhone photography stands out or differs from traditional photography?
I am so glad you asked, because I tell people this, and the seminar that I had for the first time came up with it right on the spot. So the way I look at phone photography and camera photography, I try to compare it to cars, stick shift versus automatic. Camera photography, the traditional way of doing things, is very similar to stick shift in the car, because you do have more control of driving the car with a stick shift. A lot of people say like, oh, you have more of the feel of the car, and they like the way that it feels. Why would I want to take that away? And so there is a lot more controlling with the traditional camera, navigating the features and switching it all up. But with the phones, all mobile photography, it's kind of like automatic in a car. Like you don't have to worry about, adjusting anything, because it automatically does it by itself on its own with the environment that you're in. Or if you're indoors, outdoors, how sharp that lighting is, it adjusts everything for you where you don't have to worry about it.
Which is beautiful.
Yeah. And they still give you that option to control things if you want it through the apps, through their camera apps.
So I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so it kind of still gives you the best of both worlds with adjusting with the phone, or you could just use the
Ah.
raw camera on the phone and just go with the
Do
flow.
you prefer to shoot raw and then edit later?
It doesn't matter. Sometimes I'll have the raw on or I'll have it off. So
Yeah.
it really doesn't matter because at the end of the day, I'll end up editing the
Right.
way I wanted it to look.
Right. Right.
Some people crack me up and they're saying, "Oh, the lighting in here is too cold." I'll just make it warm and edit.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The sunset wasn't setting enough. I'll just make it warmer.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, and it's almost like having a fail safe because as somebody who I'm self-taught in everything I know. Okay. The first time I got a camera, I shot in auto for a year and had no idea what ISO was. I didn't understand the value of a better lens,
It all matters.
I knew nothing. I was just bumbling through it. And so then I learned how to shoot manually. And it was only because I learned how to shoot manually that I understood how every component worked. And now it
Right.
looks much better.
Right.
An iPhone, it sounds like it's like plug and play kind of.
It is.
It as long as you
adjusts
understand
automatically.
it, you can work it,
Yeah, exactly. And again, I feel like going hand in hand with knowing how to use the phone, but also, editing, it just
Yeah.
works. But honestly, again, with the phone itself nowadays, some people say like, I look at the phone and take the photo and I don't like the way it looks already. I'm like, oh, hey, man.
Fine, no editing
I
for
know.
you. Saves me time. That's all right. All right. So I know you have a marketing strategy, and I'm not sure you actually want to put it on the show. So if
I know, go
not,
ahead.
we'll take it off. But can you share a glimpse of your out of the box marketing strategy that brings you a couple of clients a day?
Yes, of course. So I actually developed the strategy inspired by Netflix. I don't know if you remember when Netflix was like $5 in the mailbox.
Yeah.
They were like these little tiny CDs that were very similar to GameCube CDs.
Yeah.
I was a big gamer when I was younger. And so when they first came out with the Netflix approach, like they weren't charging, out of the box. Like they were just, it was very reasonably cheap and it was new. Like,
Right.
okay, instead of the, blockbuster version, you just get the little tiny CDs and then you just watch whatever you want to watch. So, as you can see, or as you have seen, it evolved over time. Like at first it was in the mailbox, then it became a whole streaming platform, by itself. And then next thing you know, they started adding the cool movies on there and then the better new release movies. And then now they create their own movies, but if you think about it, if they started off where they are at now, it wouldn't have picked up.
It would have failed.
Yeah, they wouldn't have built as much loyal fan base or that leverage. And so that's basically what I did when I first started my photography business. I knew that a lot of people were going to look at me sideways shooting on a phone. So I started doing it reasonably priced, very reasonable, like $50, for 10 photos.
Wow.
I gave people the opportunity to choose the amount of photos that they wanted by harding the photos on my iPhone. So that way they can walk out knowing that they got what they wanted. And it was my job to send them the edited versions that they liked.
Okay.
And so all my clients get the eligibility to heart the ones that they want. I don't choose my photos for my clients unless it's an event or a concert shoot.
Right.
But all my one-on-one clients always have the opportunity to choose the photos that they want. And so it always gave them that for sureness that Nita's gonna give me what I need,
I'm not gonna leave here questioning,
exactly.
I will know for sure.
Exactly. And then they get their photos in 1 to 3 days. And so it's like not only that they get good quality photos, but they get them at reasonably priced and they also get it at a quick turnaround. And so I created that bond as well with my clients and they always return, and they always told their friends. And the next thing you know, I started taking more photos of people and I started growing my portfolio in my photography and it just grew from there. And so now I'm trying to evolve. And speaking at conventions, I never would have thought shooting on my iPhone when I first started would lead me to moving into a high rise after 3 to 4 years.
Right.
Never would have thought. I never would have thought I'd be known as, oh, she's an iPhone photographer and she's really good. I never would have thought. If you saw my first edits, if you were to tell me that my work would have been on CMT or BET, never would have thought. But no different from Netflix. Like, I'm not sure if they really thought day one that they were going to start making their own movie.
Oh, no way. There's no way. They're like, well, we can just knock Blockbuster off. We'll be doing good. Well, I think that's so important, though, to have the vision for something more. And then outside of that, being able to break it down into steps. You know, if I can get here, then I can definitely get over there. Once I get over there, I'm pretty sure I can make it up yonder.
Yeah, you just keep going. I tell people all the time, like the puzzle piece theory, like you could have a 2,000 set of puzzle pieces in front of you, but you ain't gonna know what the picture looks like until you start putting the pieces together.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And the longer you sit there and look at it,
you ain't gonna get nowhere.
Nothing's gonna happen.
You're not gonna see the picture.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild. All right. So what do you think the most crucial element is when it comes to taking pictures with your iPhone?
Crucial element is definitely lighting, because I work with tons of other photographers on set of the same area, same position, and they might have the most expensive camera and I got the iPhone, but guess what?
I bet they're mad.
I know.
When they leave, they're like, I gotta go do so much editing.
But the same issue still applies with our lighting isn't good enough. And then we look at each other like, oh, our lighting isn't good enough. We both have the same issue, but we can both produce great outcomes from both devices.
Right.
Yeah. So lighting is definitely crucial. Some people say like, well, when I take photos on my phone, it just doesn't come out as great. Your lighting. Is your lighting good? Like that's what matters the most. And then after that, like I have my own formula in my head, how I create good content. You know, it's not just the lighting, but also, positioning your phone using portrait mode is crucial depending on what type of photo shoot you're doing. Are you shooting people? Are you shooting the subject? Are you shooting landscape? Are you shooting a building? I don't recommend shooting portrait if you're shooting a building. I get asked to shoot buildings. So like, yeah, it just depends on what mode you're shooting in. There's only two.
Yeah.
And you know that, and then at the same time, you know, angles matter. I feel like with people, everyone's different, shape, size, tall, short. None of my angles are always the same. I think a lot of photographers fail on that end because they're not really good at getting different
They get set up in one spot. That's what you get.
It's gonna help. I mean, it might help for specific people, but not for everybody. And that's why I feel like a lot of people get that negative connotation that I'm not good with photos. Like, it's not true. It's just the angle.
You haven't had a good photo taken of you yet.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Angles matter. The lighting matters. So those things matter. And then of course, editing, you know, not everyone's edits are going to look, you know, not every photographer's edits are always going to look, you know, the same or good. So that matters too as well. So.
That last part though. I know.
It matters. I always tell people like when I have the raw versions of the photos of them, I'm like, I'm not gonna send this to you because it's unseasoned chicken. You know?
Yeah.
But until I season the chicken, then I'm gonna send it to you.
Yeah. Because you don't want people to see anything until it's like you envisioned it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's your magic that makes people come back to get more pictures.
Yes,
so like they want to see it with the Nita seasoning on there, for lack of a better word.
And also, I'm very open. That's what I said. It was what makes people successful. So there's some you know, influencers that I've worked with, and they have a specific, you know, editing style that they do. I have no problem sending them their unedited photos.
Right.
So, you know, because at the end of the day, they hired me to make sure that they get the good content in general.
Right.
So I never knock that. But for sure, they get both from me if they want it, obviously. And I'll send the unedited ones and the edited ones, as long as they're happy.
Right. Yeah, at the end of the day. You know.
At the end of the day, yeah.
Okay, so walk me through the process of a general shoot. When you come, do you bring your own lighting? Start from just walking through the door.
Yeah, so it's very simple. I always tell my clients, hey, it's very chill, very laid back. You don't have to be super, you know, concerned about everything. You know, I show people my portfolio all the time on my iPad and show them my photo shoots. And then there's this one in particular that's super neon. I got told this is like a shot in Vegas. Oh man! And guess what I told them? I said, no, that's shot in Dave & Buster's.
Well,
they were so shocked. They were like, wait, what? This was shot in Dave & Buster's? They're just shocked. And I say, yeah, you can make any space, any setting, you know, look really cool just based off the angle that you shoot it in.
That's fair.
Yeah. And so that's why I always tell people, hey, don't get too stressed out about where the location has to be for your really cool photos. Sometimes it could just be simple. You know, it can be in a dirty alley or something like that. And people think that's Gotham City.
Right. It's whatever you make them think it is.
Yeah. And so that's why I always tell people don't stress out too much about, you know, the setting. You know, it just depends on the photo shoot. But anyways, but I always have my clients choose what they want, or they give me ideas of what they're aiming for. We'll get a location down, go over there. It only takes me 15 to 45 minutes now to shoot because I've shot so many people. I've gotten quicker with it. And then when we take the photos, they choose the amount of photos that they want. You know, their range could be 10, 15, 20, 30, whatever they want. And whatever they end up getting is what they pay for. That's how I have it strategized. Because some people are like, oh, I'll probably choose this amount. I'm like, hey, it's okay to change your mind if you need to change your mind.
You're not going to know till you see them how many you want.
Exactly.
You might want 100 of them.
Exactly.
You know?
So, and that always happens sometimes, because sometimes I'll have my clients end up hearting 150. I'm like, look, my max is 60. If you want to get these in 1 to 3 days. And so, but at the end of the day, they see that I'm not here to be a salesperson, and charge them.
This is what I can do.
Yes.
This is what I charge to do that.
Yes. If you want more photos, you can always come back. Because at the end of the day, times have changed. Nowadays, you don't need over 60 photos for social media, Now you just need
they're going to get tired of seeing it.
Exactly. Photos nowadays are disposable, especially need them for social media, because guess what? I'm going to need to see you every season to update your content, especially if you're a business. You need new content every season.
You're right.
You don't need your winter photos during summer.
Right. 3 years, the same picture every, season.
So I give them a good amount, like a min to a max. Here, min is like 10, max is like 60. So it's always up to them, and it's a comfortable moment too. They don't feel pressured. It's all good. And then once they choose their photos, I send them back to them in 1 to 3 days. Now I've gotten a little busier, so now it's like 1 to 5. But
still a pretty good turnaround.
Exactly. And so that's how it goes. Like, I never tell people, hey, I'm charging you by the hour. For a one-on-one shoot, it's different. Like, no, you don't need to be charged by an hour, because I'll give you more than enough. And it's just your job to choose the amount that you feel like you need.
Right.
So that's what it's like. And then they leave happy.
So what's the biggest job you've ever done in terms of like the amount of photos taken?
Weddings. Weddings. But now I've actually worked on a project recently for athletic wear. That's a startup that's just being started. And hopefully it does very well, where they start making a lot of money. It's a millionaire here in Nashville, and he started his own company and hired a VP person. That VP person found me at my gym at my high rise and saw the work that I do. And he was like, hey, you got to be on this project with us. We got other photographers too, but we want your style too as well. And so luckily,
that's really cool.
I know. Yeah. And I'm super excited to see where this goes. They're going to launch it in December. And so far I've sent them, they got a lot of content, like probably over 200, 300, 400 worth of content that I had to edit and send to them pretty quickly.
Dang. And so what, they just drag out all their apparel and you come through and just get a bunch of shots of it? Or?
And I was also, so they had a 2-day project where they had all the models and the athletes come for those 2 days, because they're not from Nashville. Not all of them are.
Right.
And so it was my job to go for both days and shoot as much people as I could. And then send those photos back, send those edits back to them.
That's a pretty big job.
That was the biggest that I've
just
done.
for you. Yeah.
But I wasn't too mad, because I got to meet athletes that are pretty big, huge social media following.
And if you don't think they're going to, they've probably met 1,000 photographers. They're for sure going to remember you.
Yeah. Because I shoot on the phone.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
It's going.
Yeah.
Yes. So
marketing genius.
Hey, this is what I'm talking about. Like, if it wasn't for living in that high rise,
it helps.
It helps.
It helps. Motivates you, puts you in the right place at the right time. A good place to shoot out of.
Exactly. And the best part is when they're like, so where do you live? Oh, I live in the same building as the VP person.
Like, wait, what? Yeah.
Good opportunity.
So tell me, how do you stay up to date with the latest trends and techniques in mobile phone photography? I don't really know what else to call it.
Right. No, Instagram, social media, YouTube, like, it literally is my job to always be open-minded, to know, because I don't know everything.
Right.
So it's always good to be up to date with what's going on, the new tips, tricks, whatever. And also, I am just one person, so I'm not trying to like perfect myself to be the best of the best, because I could be the best in other areas too. Because the more that I provide more skill sets to myself, the more valuable I become. And because I know my own purpose as an iPhone photographer, my job is not to be the best iPhone photographer in the world. My job is to spread the word about what the iPhone can do.
That is fair.
Yeah.
I like how you have concisely narrowed down this is the path I'm walking. This is the one I want to be on. Not worried about the outside noise. This is it.
Yes, yes.
That's beautiful to see. A lot of people get caught up in the rigmarole and they don't stay true to what they care about.
Yeah. I like think about guitar players. Don't you know how many guitar players are out there?
Too many.
They're really good, because nowadays it's not about how good you are, because there's so many. You can always be good one moment and then someone's better the next.
Yep.
It's about what is your purpose? Like, everyone's purpose is going to be different at the end of the day. Like, I'll never forget about Jimi Hendrix. Like, you can literally type up on Google who's the best guitar player of all time. He's definitely on that list, but he used to get picked on for not following the rules and guitar methods, you know, but that's what he's known for doing his own thing, you know.
A pioneer.
Yeah.
Way before it was cool.
Yeah. Do you think
you're right? He was so against like that old school of thought.
Yes.
People couldn't even fathom his real talent because they couldn't get past him not doing it like they used to. Right? So once you break that barrier, it's endless, the possibility, because you're writing your own story.
Exactly. And that's what makes him so unique, you know? And that's what I'm saying. Like, I try not to, I never worry too much about the iPhone photographer that's like really good in this area, really good in that area. Good for them, you know? Because again, what is my purpose? I know my purpose, you know? And at the end of the day, I'm still learning, I'm still growing, and I'll never be one of those photographers that's like, oh, I already know now. You see my work? Yeah, that proves it. No. There's still areas that I'm going to eventually grow in, and, you know, in that field. So, yeah.
Well, so you do think you'll stay within the space in the future, no matter what, right?
Here in Nashville, is that what you're talking about?
No, like the iPhone photography
space.
Oh,
God, yes. Like, it's what got me here. Like, I am riding this wave till I die. Like, so there's so many people that are like, so are you going to get the Sony camera? Like, no.
Why would we do that? I'm the iPhone photographer. Hello. Have you listened to nothing I've said?
There's literally camera photographers that are like, I do not know how to shoot on an iPhone. Well, I do. I will stay in my lane.
For somebody that's trying to get started like tomorrow, that's never even fathomed shooting photography on an iPhone, what advice would you give them?
Well, first I'll tell them it's only going to go down two ways. Either be naturally good at it, or you're going to need a lot of practice at it.
That's fair.
Either way, you're still going to be good at it. Because I mean, I feel like I've done both. Like when I first started shooting on my phone, the skill set that I have now is not like the way it was day one. I'll tell you that.
That's fair.
But I still had the natural ability of doing really good with, you know, angles and switching it up. And then over time, with a lot of practice and shooting 400 plus people, my editing improved to the max.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I'm now seeing things where I need to improve on even now. Like, maybe my composure or composite or whatever could be better. You know, maybe if I got a little bit better with editing, it could enhance the photo a little bit more. So I'm still learning and I'm still growing, but I do give that advice to those people. Like, it's practice. Like, the more you keep doing it, the better you'll get. There will always be new apps that can improve you. And at the same time, there's no one way to go about it. Because the way that I went about
That's fair.
There could be technology that could enhance you way better that didn't exist when I first started. So there's no one way. Like, do what works for you. You know, take my breadcrumbs and grow from it and make your own pie.
There we go. Okay, so one other thing about when it comes to the actual iPhones, I forgot what it was. Give me 1 second here.
You were good.
Oh, I was thinking about the learning curve, like from where you started and where the phones themselves are now. Is there a lot of things that somebody brand new would have to learn to even catch up? I mean, how does that?
So I feel like, let me see. I feel like the basis of using the iPhone is always going to be the same. But the extra features that are applied to it, will it take any like getting used to or learning? I mean, it's just, if anything, I feel like the iPhone, when it first came out, iPhone 8 Plus with the portrait mode, I feel like it's just gotten better, if that makes sense.
So yeah, so the bases are the same,
it's
but
still
the
the
tech
same.
is just
the tech
better.
is just improving.
Now, do you run out and buy a new iPhone every time they come out with one?
Good question. So I actually have two iPhones. Every year they do improve and they do get better. I end up getting the biggest gigabyte.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You're burn through all of it.
Yeah, I might as well just get the newest gigabyte, the biggest.
Does the camera improve every year?
Oh, yeah, big time. Yeah. And I know some people and that's the thing. Some people are got their own preferences. This is what I'm saying. Like, hey, there's no one way. For me, I personally like getting them every year because they do improve. From what I see from my eye, I know what I'm dealing with. And so there's other people who are like, oh, I actually like the 13 better. Okay, we'll rock the 13.
Yeah, whatever you like.
Phone, because I'll show you my portfolio from when it went from the 11 Pro to the 15 Pro. The 11 Pro is still what I advertise on my social media. Like, it's still good, So,
yeah.
I mean, rock with whatever you feel comfortable with,
Well, that's good to know that people don't have to, have the brand new one. But if they want to improve, there's probably some new tech in there. Yeah. I'd look into it. That's kind of like the camera scene too. Once I got a good camera and a lens that I like, I'm kind of good. Anything else?
Broke, I ain't gonna fix it.
Right. It's still starting to look right, Golly. All right. So how do you handle the competitive nature of the photography industry? Yeah. Especially given your unique skill set.
Well, it's funny because when I first started, I wasn't even thinking about competitiveness. Don't get me wrong. I would have moments where this person's now working in the same concert field that I am, and they're kind of taking all the jobs that I did do. And there were moments there, but in the very beginning, I did not think of competition. I was just like, I'm just more worried about putting myself out there and not putting myself out there. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to be a caveman living in a cave, you're not going to get any results. Facts. So I put myself out there anyways. I didn't care. Like, it was just my job to just make sure I'm putting myself out there and what I'm doing and being as valuable to people as much as possible. So now, there were definitely moments where I was like, man, this person is taking all my concert photography gigs. What will I do? And so in my brain, I'm like, look, I'm already 3 steps ahead. I'm like, let me aim these hotel chains. Right. Like, Lazy Boy already hired me. So why not ask the other Lazy Boys in different cities and states? Yeah. That's travel photography right there. So like, that's where my brain goes. Like, I'm not, because at the end of the day, you have to evolve yourself. Right. And I think that's where people get stuck when it comes to business. They don't evolve. They don't think to market themselves better. They don't think to put themselves out there in different areas. And that's where they get stuck. And then they start hating or getting jealous or getting, creating negative thoughts about their business or their competition when they don't realize there's a whole world out there that could use your services. If everybody can eat. Out there. Exactly. Plenty of work out there. There's so many people out there. So that's where my mindset went. Like, okay, maybe I need to evolve myself now that all these people are taking these gigs. It's a sign that I need to evolve, And so that's how I feel sometimes when I have my down seasons of clients. Like, maybe you need to be doing something different, Nita. Like, maybe you should put yourself in, I don't know, conference rooms and speak. Found out they pay $1,500. If I was, with my experience and what I know now, they'll pay $1,500 for me to speak and talk for an hour, 45 minutes. Yeah. So I'm like, you know what?
That makes you feel pretty good, doesn't it?
Go ahead and email these people real quick. So, that's what I'm saying. Like, but if I had never evolved and just stuck to just concerts or stuck to just models and people, I don't think I would have grown where I'm at today. But because I diversified my genre of photography shoots and not just concerts, it opened up more doors for me. Because I did videos too, it opened up more doors for me, and because I put myself in multiple different areas and travel, again, opened up more doors for me. And so now I'm thinking about doing more conferences and keynotes, again, opening more doors for me.
Yeah, I'd sign up for all of those. Whatever they'll let you do, get out there, girl.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So your journey from starting out to where you are now in just 3 to 4 years is crazy.
Thank you.
Let's talk about some of the moments where you may have had some self-doubt. How did you get through that?
So there's 2 things. For one, I never had the idea to quit, but I definitely had moments where I was doubting myself, not the business. Right. And when I have those self-doubt moments, why I think it's so important that everyone has therapy or some form of therapy, because there's a difference. But it still, accomplishes the same end results. It is always good to always, again, have some sort of small friend base that can remind you of the effect that you have had on them. Even strangely, I hate to say it, but even social media helps with my self-doubt, because I look at social media as not just pictures and accomplishments on my social media, but also it's reminding me how many people I'm inspiring.
Yeah.
And the comments that people say that, again, makes my day. And that is also my progress report for myself. Like, Nita, this is what you've done so far. Do you want to stop now? No. I'm going to figure out how to navigate through any issues that I might have with myself.
Right.
So, yeah. And I think it sounds strange because people actually find social media as the opposite of helping you during your tough times. But no, it inspires me during my tough times. Unpopular opinion.
Yeah, well, my opinion is social media is exactly what you make it.
Yes.
If it's negative in your life, it's because you're negatively using it.
Yes.
It's not my fault. It's on you, bro. I can get on there and make money and have a good time. Like, that's what it's for to me.
Yeah, sometimes I'll just go back on my timeline on Facebook or on Instagram and look through and all the stuff that I've done. I'm just like, man, I went to New York. Man, I went to Louisiana. Yeah. Took some good photos of me when I was in New Orleans. And it's just like, I'm doing something out here. It's just reminding me, it's my progress report, Yeah. So,
well, think about next year. You'll roll through there again and it'll be like a whole other inspirational boost.
Exactly. So that is why, but that's what also helps, me get through those tough times. And again, am I tired or am I not motivated? One of the two. And so I go back, okay, maybe I just need to relax some more. Or
that's really important, being able to look inside and figure out, am I the problem? It's it.
And then 9 times outside circumstance, I was the culprit.
Right. It'll change your life, man. I'm telling you.
Take accountability. That's
man.
The biggest thing for me in 2023 was taking accountability.
Yeah.
Even through my breakups, take accountability, because there was a pattern. I'm not gonna lie. So it was definitely me too. At the same time, like, man, I should have
once you learn how to take the moral inventory and be accountable for your own nonsense,
you'll be unstoppable.
You will, because then you're not gonna put up with anybody else's either.
Yes.
Because you know how to stop and change your own circumstances.
Life will be so much better.
Yeah. It's definitely more peaceful. I'll tell you that.
Peace will protect that peace. Yes.
All right. So I know you talked just a little bit about public speaking and everything. When did you start hosting seminars, and were you comfortable with public speaking before that?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question, because I never saw myself public speaking of last year, to be honest. It was when I was asked to come to a photography conference where there was literally 10,000 people in that huge conference building in New York. And so I found out that this convention was free and I got invited to go. And I'm thinking, if I go, I'm going to show them what's up with this iPhone photography. Kind of a bit egotistic going in. But the moment I walked in, I was overwhelmed by the amount of people who were geeked out about camera photography and lenses. That's all they cared about. And I was just like, oh, no, I'm just basically a wallflower here.
Walking in front of 10,000 people is a different experience.
Oh my goodness. There were so many people there. And so going there, I learned that I think I'm here to shut up, sit down, and just listen, and that's basically what I did. And so when I went the next day to this convention, there was a mobile photography room seminar, and I walked in, and it's just funny how out of all the rooms, there was that one mobile photography room. And so I walked in and I listened to the guy speaking, and he does great work on his iPhone too as well. But he does shoot from his camera though at the same time. So he spoke 2 languages on, how to work with this, if you know this, and then apply that to the iPhone. And so I even talked to him for a little bit, and that is how I got connected with Apple, because he had connections with Apple. Little did I know. And so being in that room and seeing 200 people listen to him, it inspired me. Just imagine if they were, being told the info about iPhone photography from someone who only knows how to shoot with just an iPhone, and worked with 400 plus clients and live in a high rise. I'm literally living proof that you can make it into a career. And all those people, of course, will want to know how to do the same thing.
And you speak their language.
And I speak their language. So, and especially someone who doesn't know how to shoot a camera, can
Right.
still learn from me, you know, shooting with an iPhone. You
Right.
know, I'm
Right.
no photography experience whatsoever.
I'm going to be honest with you. If you learn the traditional side of photography, it almost makes you a snob because instantly, if someone asks you how to use the phone, like you're going to want to tell them, no, 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 you need this $20,000 rig, and they're like, yeah, but I just want to do it on the phone. And so I don't think you would never be able to really truly speak their language again, even if you knew both sides. You know, it is what it is.
Goes back to, you know, the whole car reference. Like
Right.
you need to learn how to stick shift in order to be a good driver with the automatic.
If you're a full-on car guy, you're going to want the manual. If you're just doing your best and you're just trying to see where
you're just trying to get from point A to B.
You're trying to get there, you're going to want the automatic. You don't care about the manual. You're like, cool, it does other stuff I didn't never ask for it to do.
Same reference. Like you said, if you do genuinely care the nerdy way, like of course you're gonna want to know. But if you're just trying to get from point A to B, like just provide content for your social media and that's all you care about, hey, look, I'm the girl for you then.
I'll show you the way.
I'll show you the way. But that's what inspired me though to do conferences and host my first seminar here in Nashville. I really wanted to see how I would do speaking in front of people. And sure enough, it worked out very well. I was very impressed with myself, not getting nervous once. I was not nervous at all. And I've never spoken in front of a lot of people before.
Yeah.
I mean, not gonna lie, in college I did have to speak in front of people. It wasn't a lot of people, but I was nervous.
You just got to make it through that though. You know, you put your horse blinders on and you
I'll tell you for sure, if you are confident in what you do, that is a big test right there to see if you're going to be nervous or not. Because I'm telling you, if you are confident in what you're doing, you won't be nervous. But if you are
you're living your truth in that moment.
You are living your truth. Yes. But if you are not that, 100% confident in what you're doing, it'll show. You'll be nervous.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that is how I determined that. And honestly, I'm way more motivated now to speak in front of conferences, keynotes. I'm pushing myself out there in those areas, no different from when I had to shoot on the iPhone. I had to push myself out there. It worked out.
She is open for booking. If anybody is looking for Nita to come speak at your conference, she's ready.
If you want to learn how to make content from the tool that you already have
in your pocket, most likely. You're already paying for it. You already have it. You don't need anything else.
You can get away with shooting at hotel lobbies, man. Like, there's no rule for not taking photos with your phone in the hotel lobbies.
How do you find time to balance everything?
That's something that I'm currently working on. It is the current struggle. And I have to remind myself that I can't do everything in one day, but I can get it done in a week or a month. You just got to balance everything. Hence why I get so burnt out or exhausted so quickly. I have to remind myself, you need a time to just chill and sit down, have an off day. Because when you're an entrepreneur, you're working 24/7, basically.
Literally 7 days a week.
If you're not sleeping.
And it's so hard for me to take any time off. Because then I'm just worried about I'm like, man, I could be working on tomorrow's problem today.
Then you don't want to burn yourself out to where you just don't do anything the whole day, because that happens. And that's why you have to rest sometimes. And then for me, I definitely need to go to the gym every now and then, because once I stop going, that I guess I'm not producing enough energy in my body to be productive, and then nothing gets done. And so at the same time, I do want to be healthy too as well. So it's important to do that too.
Mind, body, and soul.
You're not lying. To the T.
Well, it sounds like you have correctly identified each portion of your life, and you're doing a really good job at keeping them in order.
Thank you.
I don't know you very well, but I'm proud of you.
I'm trying my best. And I'm proud of you for having me on your show, your podcast. It's just amazingly built, and I can't wait for other people to A, be added on as a guest, and B, see my episode that hopefully might inspire more people.
Well, it's going to come out really soon.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Thank you again.
I only have, let's see, 1, 2. I really have 5, but 3 of them we already talked about. So we're going to do 2 questions.
Cool.
What are your thoughts on the future of mobile photography, and where do you think it's going to go in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think it will definitely be the future to photography in general, especially since they keep upgrading the phones, and it's getting so much more closer to both cinematic video and the photography perspective. It's just so convenient, being able to pull a phone out of your pocket, especially when you need to capture something that you've seen, and I didn't go to school for photography. So with even that, like, you don't necessarily have to be spending a lot of money to go to school for college for photography, you know, if you do or don't want to. Like, that option doesn't have to be, you know, mandatory to take good content from your phone. I think it will be the easy, convenient tool, no different from Amazon Prime.
Right.
How easy and convenient that is.
Right.
Instead of having to go to the grocery store.
Well, I just started using it this year. Changed my life.
Especially with like big technology and like you know, very expensive equipment. Like, yeah, you just have Amazon Prime got you. You know, you can get it in 1 to 3 days. Back in the day, it used to be like 2 weeks for like the closest you can get anything shipped to you. But yeah, I'm glad that it's like, that's what I'm just saying. With new modern technology being developed, it's just becoming more convenient.
Do you think it will phase a lot of like the beginner level cameras out?
I don't think so, because we still like, it's like streaming music. Did it phase out vinyl records?
No.
Not necessarily. I feel like there's still this like authentic uniqueness to it. No different from cameras.
That's a really good take on it. I'm interested to see where they go. I know the iPhone's going to be hard to compete with though. It's what, for $1,000, $2,000 you can have a fully functional whatever. You probably already have it anyway because you need it for work or personal life. It's hard sometimes to justify dropping $5,000 on a camera and a lens that you don't know how to use yet.
Now businesses pay for employees' phones.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people who say, this is my work phone.
Hey, well, you can make more money with it. Shooting pictures over here.
For you, you know?
Yeah. All right. Well, 2 more questions. How do you approach collaborations when it comes to other influencers or business owners?
I guess, so my clients actually come to me. I don't really normally go to clients.
True.
But I'm actually switching it just a little bit because I need to still put myself out there. But normally clients do come to me. And so with collaborations or business situations, Lazy Boy, their social media people came to me and saw my work and heard from me through somebody else. That's why relationships are so important.
Yeah.
With anybody, because everybody is essential, no matter if they're a trash can person working for, you know, job in the city, or to someone who is, I don't know, living in $1 million house and creates books for people. Like, I've met so many different people from different areas, and I've learned that everybody's essential because they have the word of mouth to talk good things about you and your business.
This is true.
And so basically with that, I have people reach out to me, and then we'll work together. With Lazy Boy, their social media person contact me, and I work with their businesses here in the regional area of Nashville, and they use my content to enhance their social media website.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that's how those go about, them reaching out to me. But I myself am trying to reach out to more brand deals and more people who are aware, who I'm awareing them what I can do with the iPhone, and B, also showing like the really cool content I can bring out for their businesses. So yeah, that's how I work with those kind of situations. And then influencers, they just come to me. They just find me on social media, or I work with their friend, and then they just come to me. So that's just how that kind of plays. That's why I think social media is so important.
Word of mouth, man.
Yeah. And also just from tagging. I get tagged so many times, and they come to me from that as well.
So I never thought about that. I'm pretty sure if you were to go in right now and hit like hashtag iPhone photographer, you know, anything even similar to your name, just throw an N off in there, I'm pretty sure you are going to be at the top of the list. And in fact, when I'm done with this, I'm going to test my theory. I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
See where the possibilities can go here.
Yeah. Push it all out there. All right. What is the next big goal or project that you were looking forward to?
Definitely putting myself out there more. You know, ironically, I had so many people come to me these past 3 to 4 years. Now I've been encouraged to put myself out there more to people. Like, I will send as many emails as possible to so many businesses, because again, I'm putting myself out there because I want more people to know more about me. I want to be more of an influencer for companies, people, and all that, because I'm more than just an iPhone photographer. As you can see, I'm trying to not make...
You're a master marketer. Whether you want to admit it or not, you are very, very good.
Thank you. I learn and grow every day from just associating with different people. Like I get knowledge from you. So yeah, and I'm very proud of it with that. And again, when I explained how the successful people that I've met grow, themselves, again, it's being open and taking risks, self-discipline, relationships, like all that matters.
Well, we have reached the ending point here. We got two things. You get a chance to give anybody a shout out, plug anything you want, tell the folks at home the best places to find your content. Let's go through that.
Definitely. I'll just start off with, you can find my content on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. I'm happy to share my knowledge to people in conferences, keynote speaking, seminars, schools, inspire more people to use a tool that they already have. My social media all is Nita Nashville Photography, or you can just find me you could just look at me up on Google and all my stuff will pop up. I'm not gonna lie. Nita Ann, Nitaann. It's the name that I go by, and then also Nita Nashville, because that's my business name, like Instagram name as well, and TikTok. So feel free to follow me on social media, be more inspired and educated what you can do with the iPhone, both photo and video wise content. Enhance that social media of yours and learn from me. I teach as well. So I'm happy to meet anybody who is gaining anything from this amazing podcast. And again, just stay inspired, keep learning. That is definitely something that I want to make sure everyone is aware of.
Apple, she really needs that sponsorship now. She deserves it. Look the girl up. All right. So the last question of the day is, do you recommend the Atmos Live Studio for artist or influencer interviews?
Of course, yes. This is such a great experience, and I hope everyone gets their fun lighting spotlight in this studio atmosphere for themselves, because the host himself is pretty cool. So
thank you very much.
Great questions, and I'm again just happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
We will hopefully see you again soon.
Thank you.